They are clustered up. Last time when I came here, I told about all those things, how Goa has evolved. They have cluster of colleges and they meet together, think about what their students should learn. All those things, they have modules. Some of them. And I think the moment she called one person, Vikas, and I'm really very happy to know what he asked question, how computer science is related to chemistry. It means whatever the 2 days conference going on, it has gone to in the drain. Whatever, sorry, whatever 2 days conference everybody is talking, not high level chemistry, physics or all. The question he posed is that how computer science is related to chemistry. I cannot digest that particular question. I cannot. It means somewhere we have failed. We have failed to infuse in them some of the ideas. At this small age, he is asking this question. It's good he has asked a question, but he should also reflect on that one. I really am feeling bad about that one. It's not that he is this one. It means we are not able to put the ideas among our students. They may be thinking only IT, PT, all those things. But the way she has described our chemistry and so many sites she has got, Goa is one of the best possible model in India. Not only that, add to that one, in Goa what they do, we have a nodal university and we invite from each college, they had to scrutinize the posters from their colleges. Then they scrutinize and send our best 2-3s to the university. All colleges come together, then presented before all the professors in the chemistry in the department, and best possible. This one is given award. Award is different thing. Second thing is that when they join MSc, and we tell the students which project you want to take. We don't give them. You understand? We don't give. Now what they do, they come with their ideas, whatever they have done, small projects is there. No other university has got graduation level projects. They do the projects at the graduation level. When they come to post-graduation, we ask them to, hey, what do you want to do? Then he puts his idea, this is, sir, we want to do. Not only to that level, some people have gone up to the PhD level with the same problem which initiated by the colleges. So that's why that question, it hurted me a lot. Sorry, principal, I made it, I'm a little cutthroating person. Yeah? But this we have to tell students that each subject is interrelated. If you, in this 21st century, if you are talking this one, then we are failed. As a teachers, we have failed. Sorry, I made it. Very nice it is presentation. I enjoyed because if I were there as a student and such teachers were there, I would have loved that one. Not that I don't say that my teachers never exposed us, but the way she has exposed, very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. And Vikas, I encourage you to ask such questions, okay, which will benefit all your colleagues also. And all other colleagues, I felt very bad, nobody dared to come. That should not happen, okay? So, first have the confidence, then surf through all these things, because you are a very, very lucky generation actually. Lucky generation in the sense that when we were students, we did not have this type of resources. I was feeling bad, oh, I cannot get into IIT or certain this institute. Everybody is now able to study from IIT teachers. So make the best use of that. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks, Dr. Naik again.
Thank you, Dr. Vranda Borkar. Very beautifully explained to the students what to do after a chemistry degree. And She explained very beautifully to the students how to explore careers in research, R&D, in pharmaceuticals, material science and quality control, environment science and forensic analysis and etc. etc. So I hope students could understand those all things. And thank you, Rane sir, furnished as a chairperson. And now we would like to move towards the next session. So,
Okay, he took my PPT.
so now,
Oh my God.
Madam, could you permission that chair?
I would like to invite Dr. M.D. Subhash Chandran. He would like to address us on managing youth for management of ecosystems in crisis. And while I would like to invite Dr. Vrunda Borkar Madam to furnish that chair, and I would like to invite both of you with great pleasure. And while I would like to tell you another one thing, so Dr. Subhash Chandran taught me when I was in PUC. So, sir, heartily welcome to you.
It is an honor to introduce Mr. M.D. Subhash Chandran, an eminent botanist, ecological researcher, and educator with over 32 years of distinguished teaching experience at Dr. A.V. Baliga College of Arts and Science, Kumta. Dr. Chandran holds an MSc and PhD in botany and has made significant contributions to ecological research. He has served as a visiting scientist on deputation to the Center of Ecological Sciences at the Indian Institute of Science and was a member of the Council of Editors of Resonance, the Journal of the Indian Academy of Sciences, for 5 years. He has been closely associated with the Indian Institute of Science from 2006 to the present, working as a consulting scientist and contributing to the several research and extension projects through the Center of Ecological Sciences, Field Station, Kumta. He also serves as a consultant to the Environmental and Policy Research Institute, Government of Karnataka. Dr. Chandran's outstanding contributions have earned him several prestigious awards, including Best Teacher of Science at the collegiate level, Karnataka Rajyotsava Award 2013, Agriculture and Environment, Karnataka State Environment Award 2023. His professional achievements are extensive. He is a recipient of the German Academic Exchange Scholarship and has served as a member of key environmental bodies including Karnataka Biodiversity Board, Western Ghat Task Force, Karnataka State Coastal Zone Management Authority. He also coordinated the Uttar Kannada Natural Resources Data Management System under KSC ST for 6 years and contributed to a member of the Karnataka High Court Committee on CRZ violations. Dr. Chandan has played a pivotal role in ecological conservation and community engagement. He coordinated the preparation of the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan for Uttar Kannada and has organized around 80 training programs for village communities to develop people's biodiversity registers across 8 Gram Panchayats for EMPRI. Please join me in warmly welcoming the highly respected environmental scientist and educator, Dr. M.D. Subhash Chandran.
Thank you and good morning to all of you. After the illustrious talks by Dr. Ravishankar Bhatt and Dr. Vrunda, so illuminating, I felt I lost my student days with just primary school with one notebook and one slate. All of primary school went on like that. Not today's all this kind of fuss about educating little kids from 3 years onwards. So we escaped all that. We have enjoyed our childhood very well in those days. Anyway, that made me probably go to take the botany as a subject so that I wanted to be free, wandering in the mountains, in seashores, and go to estuaries, rivers, waterfalls. So and teaching simultaneously. That helped me quite a bit. And today the topic is mobilizing youth. Mobilizing youth for ecosystem management. So we heard over the 2 days management. It is all mostly related to industries, business, chemicals, all production, management, profit, like that. But from where we get the resource, we are making very smart programs to exploit the natural resources faster, to use them faster, pile up the earth with junk, and then try to recycle them or dump them in the ocean. As years pass, in spite of all this education, we are sinking deep in a polluted world, in filthy waters, and air that is not worthy of respiration. So, therefore, now the time has come, people take more interest in ecosystem management, agriculture management, fishery management, forest management, how best carbon can stored in vegetation, how biodiversity can be protected, conserved, enriched, how water flow can be made perennial instead of flooding or drying up seasonally, how climates can be brought under control. It is now going out of control. So, so it is for the youth. We have almost lived our lives, the people of my generation, who are more the culprits in destroying this bulk of this biodiversity. So, now it is for your future is in conservation, in ecosystem protection and management. So, next slide, please. See what Mahatma Gandhi said, there is enough on earth for everybody's need. Maybe over 100 years back he told, but not enough for everybody's greed. So today, ecosystems are catering for everybody's greed. And what the UN Secretary General this recently told, greed sows doubt, denies science, distorts truth, rewards corruption, and destroys life for profit. We cannot let greed dictate the fate of our planet. So this should be our working principle, what Gandhiji laid the foundation on. It is a sad note in 2025 from UN Secretary General and the United Nations initiated a program. This is the decade of ecosystem restoration. 2001 onwards up to 2030 is ecosystem restoration. That remains only in the pages of this thing. Who is restoring? Where? What is the model for restoring? How many kinds of ecosystems are being attempted to be restored? It is a really dismal thing. And considering India, our growth also to be, we have to question. See, in the world, our country imports used tires. How much? 55,000 shiploads come almost every year to India. And these are reprocessed, vulcanized, and various chemical processes are used to retrieve chemicals. And where goes the pollution? All around Delhi. And Delhi air is several times across the risk limit, endangering human health and even animals' health. So, and not only that, we are also one of the major importer of garbage from the world to process here. So, is it a step to prosperity or nemesis, destruction? So, we have to, the youth will have to question this. And as Ravi Shankar initially told, that there is so much of wealth in Kumta and ideas are taken by others. Now, for example, the kokum, the murugila. Murugila grows from Kerala, Kasaragod to Ratnagiri in Maharashtra along the coast and also on the foothills of Western Ghats. And there is one chemical called 8-hydroxycitric acid in that. I think so, yeah. See, this, the kokum fat is one of the best for soap making. One of the costliest soaps in the world is from kokum fat. But here, kokum is grown, hardly collected, the seeds are thrown, nobody is going to manufacture the kokum fat. Very simple technology. People do not even know how to purify the produced fat. Even if you manufacture kokum fat and market it, companies will take over. They will purchase. It is a base material. World over for soaps, cosmetics, skin creams, kokum fat is ranking top. But what we are getting, the production area, nothing. People are unorganized. In Ratnagiri and Goa, they have done more work on the kokum products. But here, whatever that kokum syrup goes, that goes to maybe to the star hotels of Goa to give as a welcome drink. And that has rebounded to Kumta and North Canara. Here also people started giving welcome drink in marriages and all with kokum, which was never done earlier. It was almost a forgotten thing of grandparents. So how social changes, how these products are used by others. Next one, please. Yeah. Now, the other day, the Ayurvedic doctor in Kumta was telling, see our villages, when I go, he goes, they are deserted. There are no people. This is doctor from Siddhapur, one of the most prosperous villages for agricultural production, spice gardens, very brilliant farmers, horticultural, but their children are not there. Even the youth who take agriculture do not get married. The girls are not ready to marry them. So one village will have 5 or 10 houses and only elderly people or none. Like that. This is a tragedy. So I remembered a few lines from Oliver Goldsmith. So, see, yeah. Where smiling spring its earliest visit paid, and parting summer's lingering blooms delayed, where humble happiness endeared each scene. See, where, what is there? The villages are just skeletons of what they were. In Uttar Kannada and Malnadu particularly, Kerala also is like that. Sangar thy bowers in shapeless ruin all. So this is, with all Gandhian philosophy, we have neglected our villages and we are more happy with industrialization, in the wrong line also processing and polluting so much. So it is high time for learning ecosystem management. So which is one thing we hardly find people coming for biology these days. Biology, how can be used for industrial product, is one field where they value biology, just like Ravi Shankar told, products and how they can be utilized, value added, and how they can be used to mitigate pollution. So this kind of growth create wealth also. Next slide, please. Yeah. So for our children, far, far away, thy children leave the land. So they run away from us and they are employed by various multinational companies. As President Trump, I may say, rightly said that American capital, China-made machines, labor from India, and marketing profit sunk in some other countries. So this is not going to take place again like that. So he considers the Indian community working in lakhs in the software industries as labor from India. Not these are the top brains of India who are entering this field and neglecting other fields. So this is, please think, computer science everybody should know, learn, but don't forget the basis of our existence, which is ecosystem, agriculture, forestry, fisheries, like that. Today the sea is rising menacingly. So we have no way to check it, like that, how best we can retrieve our gone lands from the sea. This is a question for engineering, like that, how best we can attack the sea and get back our land. What methods can be used? So, next one. Yeah, please, next. Yeah, so we have been training youth. I cannot say youth of this, because in the colleges we get less of youth. More youth are in the colleges, but more chairs are empty. But in the schools you go, overwhelming numbers keep coming. We have conducted so many training programs in schools, and children are, the school level children are the most promising stock to protect our environment. They go with some sensitivity. We give them small projects. Namagrama Jiva Vaividya. Interview 10 people in your village, write a report, and then about what is the biodiversity around and how the people use, what knowledge is there, all that. And some lady from, girl student from Sirsi has made some 200-page report. I felt it is a PhD thesis. She, like that, we got more than 300 reports in our office here prepared by the students, and that is a wealth of information for preparing the People's Biodiversity Register, which I have been coordinating for Uttara Kannada district, all the taluks also. It's a very mammoth work. It is difficult to move out and collect all that data, but the students' collection is enormous, like a Bible, village-wise. Next. Yeah. So, what is ecosystem restoration? See, we have all these management courses in India, marketing, finance, human resources, IT, international business, but hardly there is nowhere a course on ecosystem management. There is partially some fishery management, and that is also, when you are talking about aquaculture, you forget all the other fish. You forget all the ecosystem, you concentrate on prawn culturing or some other single fish culturing with a lot of pollution which enters into the estuary without knowing estuarine ecology. Estuary is an ecosystem, but it is not an end in itself. It is connected to the ocean on one side. It is connected to the river on another side. It is connected to the land. The outcome is an ecosystem. There is a lot of interaction between freshwater organisms and saltwater organisms, and saline, estuarine organism and marine. They keep visiting each other. The juveniles of so many fish species spend their young age in the estuary water because of security from mangroves, nutrition-rich surroundings. So this kind of is a very dynamic system. All ecosystems are very dynamic. They are not seen in the test tube. They are, because there is an output from environment. Next slide, please. Yeah. See, some 200 years back, hardly any science was used for our ecosystem management. But if you take the Western Ghats, the people had certain land use systems in the Western Ghats. They are all forested areas, dense forest, plenty of wildlife, tigers, elephants were all plentiful until the British shot many tigers for sport purpose. In Uttara Kannada only, dozens of tigers were killed. Today we spend crores of rupees to save even a single tiger. So, see, there were in the traditional land use system of the people had protected some special areas, and these special areas rich in biodiversity. They are primary forest patches. And no tree should be cut because that cutting of the tree offends the deity there, the goddess or god, which is under whose domain that area is. So, gradually, what happens with the advancement of our culture, civilization, the gods also get a promotion. People feel why our God should be in the wilderness, rain and shine and all like that. So, structures come followed by disappearance of the prime forest and then followed by drying up of watershed where water gush out seasonally, create floods during the peak of rains and then dry up when it is critically necessary. So, yeah, next. Yeah, so ecosystem includes all living organisms, biotic and associated physical environment, abiotic, but functions as one unit. An ecosystem functions as one unit. This unit is, as I told, not independent unit. It is connected to another unit, another unit, another unit, like that. So, and they all interact, and the whole planet is one biosphere, one ecosystem in a broader sense. So, somewhere we disturb, the whole planet ecosystem gets disturbed. Next. Yeah. Yeah. So, there are living things and non-living things that you study in your ecology classes, which all compose ecosystem. Next. So, if you see how ancient our Western Ghats and West Coast is, you see some 250 million years ago, all continents were together, Pangaea, and then it broke off. The Gondwana land and the Laurasia slowly start separating, and then India, Africa, Madagascar, all that units start separating from South America. The Atlantic Ocean was being born. That is something around 150, 160 million years back. And then the cleavage between these. And then Africa, Madagascar, one unit with India. And then India separated from Madagascar. Next slide. Yeah, this story, see. India separated from Madagascar. And Madagascar is still there, which was part of India, not politically, geologically, near, south of Africa on in the ocean. Madagascar is left there. India has gone northeast and joined the Eurasia, giving rise to the Himalayas. But when India separated, the Western Ghats got its elevation. Western Ghats were already there, but when it broke off, then due to volcanic action, the Western Ghats became what today is. And there is also a counterpart of Western Ghats in Madagascar. Same altitude almost, less than 3,000 meters, the highest points. And there is a Palghat gap here, a geological wonder in the Western Ghats. And there is a Rhinosera gap here in Madagascar, same. So it is like a mirror image. So a lost brother or sister of Western Ghats is in Madagascar. And of course, I am from this Palghat gap and my place. And looking at this lofty Nilgiris on one side, Anamalais on the other side from the plains of Palghat, I got fascinated when I will be able to climb these mountains and work in these areas. And that ultimately I landed in this North Canara district, which was full of rainforest and lingered here till today. Next. Yeah. Next one. Yeah. Yeah. I think no written material in hand. Yeah, yes. Yeah. Now go to the previous one, please. Yes. Go to the previous one. Yeah. See, we have a west coast here. This west coast is deposited from the mountains, soil coming, and where we are here, this is the deposited soil. These hills are flat, and this slopes into the Agnasini river, like that. Next slopes into Sharavati river. These hills are not Western Ghat hills, what we see here. And similarly, Madagascar east coast, deposited, like that. So, yeah, next. So, we got on the west coast, the broken side of Western Ghat. We are on the broken side of the Western Ghat. To our east is the escarpment of Western Ghats, rising high. And therefore, the rivers falling, water falling from the top, they make majestic waterfalls, like Jog Falls and all, vertically falling to the coast. But by depositing soil through ages and years, millions of years, we got a coast. But the mountain receded because of water flowing like this. Yeah. So from Uttara Kannada, Jog Falls has reached Shimoga through several million years erosion of the rocks. Next one, please. Yeah. Now, you wonder how landslides happen nowadays. See, 88 million years we have, these Western Ghats have been here. 88 million years to 19 million years. Those steep slopes were there. But last 40, 50 years, we are witnessing landslides. And now they are becoming more disastrous. So many climate changes had happened. Why? Because you don't find such trees. These trees, like this, which we find in the Western Ghats, primary forest, in the sacred forest, with a base buttress. Buttress is an engineering mechanism to support the building, any construction. Like that, these trees developed buttresses through millions of years, and they have been very successful in clinging on to steep slopes, holding rocks, and not allowing the soil sliding down. So landslides were prevented all the while. But what happened of late, so these are all softwoods. Such trees have been, our government thought these are waste trees. They have no value like teak or rosewood or like that. They are softwood ones. And so they have been for a song sold to private industry, matchbox industry, initially for 1 rupee, 1 ton of wood. Such mighty trees which have millions of years history, lineage, they have started vanishing within 15, 20 years. Our western slopes got devastated to terrible extent, which we happened to study. Next one. Yeah. Yeah, see, this was the study I said something 35 years ago, when all of us were youth. And in the center you can see Professor Madhav Gadgil, Padma Bhushan. He was my guru. And so, I am insignificant just next to the white cap. Yeah. So, and the team had many youth. Madhav Gadgil. Gadgil, yeah. So, he used to be a constant visitor. He established a Center for Ecological Sciences field station in Kumta, which has trapped me, and I am still in that. No, he has gone to Pune, but I am running this alone. Yeah. Next, with my colleague is there, Gayatri Nayak, and then Shrikant also is there. Yeah, she is. Yeah. Next one. Yeah. Yeah. So, when I see the pristine forests were somewhere preserved, I find there is no chance of such places sliding down because the trees have bioengineering mechanisms. Yeah, next one. Yeah, see, the landslide, Gangavali this side, last year, and the Wayanad, I happened to study why such things are happening now, very disastrous, claiming so many lives. I went to study that and found that there is apparently forest, but inside, instead of 300, 400 trees of mighty trees of per hectare, you find 40, 50. And inside is coffee, cardamom, such crops are grown, sometimes neglected, and the vanishing of those titanic trees with buttresses and stilt roots, they are creating this disaster on the western slopes. Houses get buried, people are gone. Yeah, next. Next. Yes, see, the kind of slope is such, it's very difficult even to walk. It is, of course, it's a photo is also slanting like that. But the forest looks pristine, but inside density is low. But satellite imagery gives, oh, very good forest, like that. Next. It's risky to walk in such areas. The landslide and the soils are slushy. Yeah. Elephants pass that way sometimes. This Wayanad. Yeah, next. So these are happening these days. We have no ecosystem management. Forest management is there to afforestation using teak, acacia, all that. So teak plantation was almost compulsory in British time. After removing valuable trees, then cut one part of the forest and compulsorily plant with teak, so that when foresters greet each other, how are you? Then they will answer, sab teak hai. Means everything is teak. So this is our Aganashini river. Just Kumta is a gift of this river, and it has been flowing maybe through 88 million years, older to Ganga by 30, 35 million years, older to Himalayas also by some 30, 35 million years, the Aganashini, the Sharavati. But now the humans, we want sustainable use and all that, but want to take away the water, take the water to Deccan Plateau. From Sharavati already schemes going on. Aganashini, they are hatching new plans to pirate this water and take to the Deccan Plateau. In spite of knowing that the climate is changing, rain is increasing, rainy months are increasing, and there are so many reservoirs, they can be stocked with water, lakes and all by restoration. But in spite of all that, there is nobody to advise the government, and the government also doesn't want any advice to stop these projects, because these projects are spinning money. So Sharavati, dams are built. Of course, we get a lot of electricity because of that. But what has happened to the ecosystem? Sharavati estuary of Sharavati, throughout the year get fresh water. After power generation, so much of water, after 2,000 million units of power, so much of water keeps flowing in the river even in dry months, so that the estuary lost its salinity from 25-30 ppt in summer month. It has gone down to 5 or 4 or 3 like that. So because of that, so many fish have vanished. But Aganashini is a natural river. All the fish ecosystem, fishery, everything is intact. Next one, please. Yeah. Now, if you look at some of the these ray fishes, they are critically endangered. Yeah, that one, the ray fish, this one, and then what you call samdale, then this bangde, silver pomfret, ishwan, then rani meenu, Arius, the shady meenu or some. So these all these require high salinity. The Aganashini estuary gives high salinity, because summer when rain is not there or less, the seawater comes, and along with the sea fish, which cannot grow in less than 30 ppt salinity. So they come. Whereas Sharavati, they were used to come, but they have vanished. So when Sharavati river, next river has about 35 species of fish, the sister river Aganasini has something like 80 plus species of fish. And these fish, some are high salinity fish, some are medium salinity fish, some are low salinity fish, and in the rainy season, the entire estuary become freshwater, and then from upper river, the freshwater fishes also come. Altogether, it is a very good place for fish, and many marine fish, they require low salinity water for their juveniles, their young ones. So their breeding, those juveniles come into the estuary and mangroves and all these, they give the shelter. These are nurseries for fishery and like that. Yes, next. Yeah, now there are so many biodiversity hotspots in the world, 36 biodiversity hotspots in the world. And see the distribution, India has Western Ghats and the Himalayan belt, like that. A biodiversity hotspot in the world. So we are in the middle of a biodiversity hotspot today. Yeah, next. Yeah, but see, out of these 36 biodiversity hotspots, I followed the fate of each one. 28 of them, except the coastal ones, 28, out of 28 of them, 2 or 3 are not getting fire. The rest are all burning, catching devastating fires in other countries, including Amazonian countries. I have listed all that where fire is there. But you see the top second one, Western Ghats, Sri Lanka, biodiversity hot, green, no fire. Then Indo-Burma, no fire. So that part of the south, northeast Himalayas. So the reason is people had a culture of conserving forest and living as part of forest. Their gods were in the forest and they were not in artificially built structures in whichever religion it is. So they were in natural areas. So therefore, and cultivation was carried out also, cutting, burning is called slash and burn cultivation, kumri cultivation in Uttar Kannada, slash and burn, cultivate few small area and then leave it. After several years, forest comes back here, secondary forest, but full of evergreens. So next. Yeah, see, this is happening. You see the California, Los Angeles burning became such a big news. But what happens, they are all national parks around California, full of huge national parks, thousands of square kilometers. Not a human being living there. That's the main thing. People are not there, only visitors. So what happens, not a twig is to be removed, not a tree is to be cut. So dry season, the waste pile up, the dead material, and then maybe after 5-10 years, a lightning strike or somebody put a matchstick, the whole forest burns, thousands of square kilometers. And climate change also drying up the forest faster. So California, Australia, everywhere, fires are devastating, burning. Next, yeah. See, when the Europeans conquered America, local people were living there, indigenous people. They had also their sacred forests. The giant sequoias of California, they were, many parts of that were sacred to the indigenous people who have been sent out. And they became just trees which have witnessed even Egyptian civilization in the last days. Such trees are living there in this Californian forest. Why such mighty trees? They were protected by the local communities then. They didn't cut for any cultivation or land use. Yeah, next one. This, see, yeah, such a, there were people living there once upon a time, indigenous people. So in their culture, conservation was there, utilization was also there, and fires never occurred like this. This is also true with Australia, Europe, and many parts where forests burn uncontrollably. Siberia even, sir may. Indigenous people, I don't know what's the fate of theirs. Anyway. Yeah, next one. Yeah. See, this is the kind of pre-colonial land use system in Uttara Kannada district. So you can see there are some pan forests there, and then some garden here. Garden will be throughout getting water from the catchment area, forest, like that. And then there are grassy patches. Periodically, fire comes, burn only the grass and not the evergreen forest. And so, so there were grassy places, sacred groves, all that. So such a mosaic landscape. Animals were there. Grazing animals used to have grasslands. So prey, predator, all those things, everything was there. The ecosystem was rich. Next one. Yeah. Yeah, so you get a closer view. See, there are cleared areas full of grass, and these grassy areas seasonally will be heaven for grazing wild animals and also domestic cattle. People live along with wildlife in the houses below, and the streams have many endemic fishes of Western Ghats, very rare ones. For example, Schistura nagodiensis from Nagodi stream, which is here draining, Schistura nagodiensis, new species, the stream joins the Sharavati river. Schistura sharavadiensis, Batasio sharavadiensis. So these are all new species which are the gifts of the generations past who had protected ample areas under sacred forests, and watershed was very prime protected area for in the culture of those communities. Next one, please. Yeah. See, this is a. Can you name this temple? Yeah, anybody has gone there? Yeah, please raise hand. Yeah, only sir is raising. Karikan temple, Karikan Parameshwari temple. Huh? See, that is, goddess is called Karikan Parameshwari. Karikan means the dark forest, the black forest, Karikan. Not forest not to be cut, Karikan, the black forest. And Parameshwari is the goddess, the ruling goddess of the Khan. Of course, the people naturally feel our deity should not be in rain and opening and all that. So a small temple is built, but forest is not cut. If you enter the forest, what kind of trees? They are all Dipterocarpus indicus, endemic, endangered species, and such species only found in these Khan forests. Karikan, if you leave that, Katalekan, few places only, very few places, endangered according to IUCN. So this is a conservation. But today all belong to forest department. Fortunately, they have retained this forest. Next one. Yeah. So such trees, Dipterocarpus, Carophyllum, they live in such sacred groves even today. Next one, please. Yeah. See, we even made well water sample whole year, 12 months. How much water is there in the wells below? One is below the sacred forest here, other is below the secondary forest, ordinary. Village below Sambegadde, here village Bangaramaki. We selected wells, measured water level every month, and found that the Bangaramaki people below the Karikan sacred forest They are having spice gardens. 99% of land use is garden crop, and they get a lot of money from that, which has a high demand. Even pepper was exported through almost 2000 years from our west coast. Even Julius Caesar would have eaten the pepper from our Western Ghats, west coast. Like that, it was a pepper growing area, and today it is grown in the plantations, still fit. And see, the other Sampegade, where there is no sacred forest above, the forest, see, most of farmers have rice cultivation dependent on the rain. All are within few kilometers distance, but one colony, rich people, rich farmers, another one, poor farmers, struggling for water in the summer months, even for drinking water. So they depend on rain-fed rice. Next one. So the wells are given, the graph is given. See, this is below in the Karikan, even in the May month, water is like this. But the other one, people fight for pots of water. Next one. Yeah. Now, yeah, okay, with this I will be closing. Yeah, I think just few minutes. Yeah, see, this is the Sorab Taluk in Shimoga district, next district, Shimoga district, Sorab Taluk. And what you see here, green patches, they are forests. Surrounding brown patches are there. The brown or grey patches, they have human habitation and cultivation. They have secondary forests, scrub, grassland, all that. And but these evergreen, these are Khan forests. So in the pre-colonial land use system, almost 12% of Sorab Taluk was under sacred forests. There were other forests also where animals graze and all that, but where trees are not to be cut, where wild pepper can be collected, where non-timber forest produce can be collected, where toddy can be extracted from palms, and jaggery and all that, sugar, palm sugar made, all that, supplementing lives. And maybe the same toddy kept little long, it is also giving a lot of this thing. Evening customers are different. For morning it is sweet, it can be given even to children, very nourishing drink. Yeah, see, so this was surveyed. Now you see all these cultivation, human habitation, waterways, sources of streams, they are all from the Khans. Still, Sorab or Sagar you visit and find out where is your village Khan. Hale Sorab Khan is almost 1,000 plus acres even today, but highly getting encroached. Next one. Yeah. Next one, please. Yeah. Yeah. This is a Khan in Sagar, Vateria indica, endemic to Western Ghats. It is a threatened species according to IUCN, and this Khan is full of them, mighty trees, but outside vegetation is like this, scrub and all that. And there is a water body here. There, yeah, water body. So this was a kind of culture where people protected, but ecosystems were protected. So today we have to restore, bring back the ecosystems to their glory, past glory. We understand we cannot have suddenly all those endangered trees planted in the open and they will not come up, they will die. They have to be brought in succession. There is a process called ecological succession which is taught in ecology, but ecology is also endangered, and therefore I don't know whether anybody knows about vegetational succession. So forest officers will have to know that first what should be in the open light, what should be in the semi-shade, what should be in the deep shade, which species to be planted. So this all is ecosystem management. So this is to be a future management topic which is need to be taught. This is sacred. Yeah, you can see that. Next one, sir. Yeah. This is in Goa, sir. we were so surprised when we surveyed Goa recently. We found such a Khan-like forest in Goa. They are sacred there also. And they have perennial water. And we got one tree in our Katalekan sacred grove, this one Semicarpus katalekanensis, newly named Semicarpus katalekanensis from mango family. But when we see in Goa sacred grove, that is there, we counted how many saplings. Also, all trees were counted, measured. They are in the national parks of Goa. Means people had protected them. Their culture protected them. All forests were not cleared for cashew plantations. Like that. The many forest patches were retained. See the root systems, these respiratory roots coming, protruding below in the swampy area. So such trees, not only they protected water bodies, they protected streams, they protected slopes from landslides. So from time immemorial, through millions of years, and these trees like wild nutmegs there, no, they have origin in Gondwana land. Before the continent split, before the earth broke into pieces and land separated, the nutmeg family originated. The Chambaga family, Magnolia, I see this, originated there in the Gondwana land. And we have that Magnolial group, many plants are here because Western Ghat is a piece of the original Amazon forest and they are here, but we have no sight, our vision ends in next 5 years, 3 years. No government officer ministry is also interested in any project beyond the duration of 3 to 5 years. Next, sir. Yeah. So last one graph, with this I conclude. See, when a forest is more evergreen, means in a unit area per hectare, say, more evergreen species are there, then you find more threatened species. That forest threatens more species. This thing protects more rare species and endemic species of Western Ghats which are not found outside. And also those more the evergreen the forest is, greater the bulk of the trees. And greater the bulk of the trees, almost 50% is carbon. So carbon sequestration is highest in the old forests, says naturally. So these go together. Forest 0 to 10%, 20%, 100% evergreen. So you find the green dot is endemics are more. The rare species are more. When a forest becomes more evergreen, whether it is fish, whether it is amphibians, you find, or lion-tailed macaque, endangered species of Western Ghats, they are more, the more the evergreen the forest is. And the triangle is for carbon. See, as a forest becomes more evergreen, the carbon per unit area increases to maybe 300 tons per hectare, 400 tons per hectare, which is almost international standard, but we have very little of such forests left. So if you learn ecosystem management, so I appeal, there are a lot of educationists here, and so to include ecosystem management in future as an optional subject where students can take and they can join some department or they can have NGOs, voluntary things, and government jobs are scarce these days. I think with these words, anything more left? Yeah, over, no? I think it should be over, yeah, yes. Thank you so much. Probably I have overshot the time.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. He empowering youth to manage ecosystems in crisis involves educating.
One minute.
Sorry.
One question.
Very scary. One question, you said that our west coast, and I was there in Kenya. Is it a part of our this one? Or,
Kenya is interior, not a coastal.
huh,
The inland mountains also are there.
okay.
So Western Ghat is part of Madagascar.
Madagascar means
And it's
still down,
in
south.
between, yeah, still, it is a east coast.
Yeah, yeah.
East coast, no, yeah. East coast of Africa.
East,
East Coast. Yeah. They have long rivers originating on their eastern Ghat and flowing to the west. They have East Coast deposited. We have West Coast. Like that. They have vertical side on the east. We have vertical side on the west. So if we think all these things and manage our lands, we can prevent the landslides.
I was finding some
Yeah, yeah.
similarity.
We can, yes, absolutely, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Very, very, very interesting.
Hello? You want to ask something? Actually, I feel myself honored to chair session by Dr. Chandran. Okay, because a stalwart like him, rather than calling a stalwart, I would say the Bhishmacharya in botany. Okay, and one of my subject was botany when I was doing my BSc, and I have also moved. I am happy, sir, that you have also highlighted that Goa secret grooves, and I am happy to convey also all the students there. Okay, whether it is, he asked me whether computer science is related to science. The teacher from our college, who is philosophy, actually, she has taken a project of secret grooves in Goa and trying to document all the things regarding the secret grooves which help the environment. Okay. Second thing, sir, regarding what you have said, the ecological, this one, we had also floated a project which you people can do with computer science and botany. That is, you know, take a forest, then the botany person will locate various trees and the computer people will tag them. So it is a tagging of the full forest, and so that the government also knows that there is a tagging. They can't, anybody cannot cut the trees randomly. So when there is a name given to the trees, big trees, and all the things are known, it is difficult to cut them also. So that project also has been taken by Dempe College, and it was appreciated at the national level for that project. So I would really thank sir for throwing a light on ecological part, geological part, that we were part of America earlier. So America and Africa and India, we three were together. On a lighter side, we can send this to Trump saying that we belong to you, so don't throw us out. India has already shifted. People are migrating this side or that side, and we would like to see the migration on both the sides. So thank you, sir, for enlightening all, and I hope youngsters, ecology is very, very important. Don't throw plastic on the roadside. Okay, my second this one is that my presentations also go in the schools regarding the plastic, and I like what sir said, that it is very easy to catch them raw, and that is the schools. So we had in the school, our college had, ma'am, you can think of that also, because it gives the points at the NAC and all, outreach programs for schools. Okay, wherein you tell them at that level the importance of science. That is your catchment also. It helps your raising 5 points in NAC also. So that also we did, and we had fun with chemistry, fun with maths, fun with geology, in all these, and call the students from the schools to the college. They see the college campus, and in that I had one small session of plastics, just showing the pictures, you know, with the birds entangled in plastic bags, fish entangled, this entangled, then cows are, you know, not feeling okay with nearly 15 to 16 kilos of plastic. When youngsters saw them, mothers told me, phoning, ma'am, what type of presentation was there in Dempe College? I said, what? She said, she has removed all plastic from her house and kept all jute bags and cotton bags in car. saying that you are supposed to bring this now, all your bhaji and this thing, fruits, in these bags. So that is the way you can catch them young. Elders know that plastic is bad, but still we use the plastic bottles, we use the plastic bags. Okay.